This is Wake Up Canada News. I'm Brad Wilder. This next story comes from Vedika Singh. The majority of Canadians now disapprove of the Trudeau government and have a negative view of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, all according to a new poll by left-leaning pollsters Abacus Data. According to the poll, 51% of Canadians now disapprove of the Trudeau government's performance. That's the highest number ever recorded since Trudeau was elected back in 2015. When it comes to how Canadians view the Prime Minister, the same number, 51%, had a negative view of Trudeau, the highest number the pollster has ever recorded. If an election were held tomorrow, just by chance, would be a good thing, the pollster predicts the Conservative Party of Canada would win with 35% of the vote. Abacus Data CEO David Coletto recently told the Toronto Sun that these results should be a warning sign to the Liberals that they've entered uncharted territory for their government. He adds, "It's a toxic cocktail when people are unhappy with the direction of the country and they disapprove of the government's performance. That's where we are today. This is a wider Conservative Party lead and its growing desire for change is happening." The current state of the country may explain Trudeau's negative polling results. There's a lot going on right now at a time when Canadians are struggling with an inflation crisis and a looming recession. Trudeau, of course, recently decided to take a 2-week, siesta down in Costa Rica with his family. This historically high inflation rates have impacted food prices, accommodation, gas, and many more everyday goods and services. Further, Canadians continue to face long lines and delays at airports and passport offices all across the country, and many have blamed Trudeau's government's existing COVID measures. Despite growing demands from the public, politicians, and industry experts, they want to scrap the government's ArriveCAN app, but the Trudeau government is continuing to double down on its mandatory use, claiming the pandemic isn't over. The feds also recently made enhancements to the app to allow people to submit CBSA customs and immigration declarations prior to their arrival. This has led to speculation the Trudeau government is planning on making the ArriveCAN app a permanent feature entry to Canada. It's interesting to say the least, and I don't want you to get confused since, there's a lot going on in the Great White North. You see, the Prime Minister of Canada never shies away from taking the most illegal steps in the world. From making the Canadian farms barren to demolishing Canada's healthcare and aviation industry, Mr. Trudeau is now all set to make the lives of soldiers miserable. Canadian soldiers, Canadian forces, special operations members. They're over in Ukraine training on the ground in the war-torn country. It's a previous version of somewhat similar story to Canadian troops training in the Ukrainian army in the UK, but alas, it was found out to be a fake one. The truth is now right here. Justin Trudeau is preparing his brave soldiers, our men and women, to get slaughtered in the Ukraine war. Elite Canadian operations from the Canadian Special Operations Command are training Ukrainians on the ground in Kiev. Multiple sources have told Global News recently. Think they report that? Now the liberal mind in you may be thinking that, Trudeau is wearing his humanitarian robe by trying to assist the war-torn country, but the reality is hidden in Trudeau's persona. While other countries are disengaging themselves from the aggressive war, Canada just wants to play the good boy in front of NATO. Despite Ukraine's repeated pleading for Western assistance, Washington, they never braved it, sending in their troops to Kiev. The West has been aiding the war-torn country with, military equipment from day one, but the U.S., they shied away from deploying their mighty armed force in Kiev because they valued their soldiers, their lives, and feared Putin's military might. The Biden administration has consistently ruled out the deployment of U.S. troops. Let me say it again, our forces are not and will not be engaged in the conflict with Russia in Ukraine, the president has said time and time again and made it very clear. But this is where good boy comes in. Canada is making the headlines these days by training the neo-Nazi armed groups in Ukraine. Why, Mr. Trudeau? Why do you like to get so much media coverage? And that, too, at the expense of your country's poor soldiers. How strange. You see, a top Canadian soldier, General Wayne Erie, when asked about the situation, denied passing on any information regarding the matter. He says he won't confirm or deny Canadian troops are deployed and on the ground in the war-torn country of Ukraine. When asked about the reports, Erie said the military is never going to talk about discreet or sensitive special operations or even confirm or deny them, calling the media reports disappointing and speculative. If it was true, it would put our own troops at risk. And why would anyone deliberately want to put Canadian troops at risk, Erie said. The other aspect we need to think about is speculation in the media feeds Russian disinformation as well. Erie said, we're seeing, well, as the character of war evolves, disinformation itself is becoming a weapon. So we just need to be very, very cognizant of that aspect as well. Well, perhaps the general is concerned about the Canadian military. He is tight-lipped only for the single fact that he does not want to feed the Russian military with information regarding Canadian soldiers and troops located in Ukraine. Global powers, including US and UK, they're distancing away from supporting the Ukraine when it comes to armed force deployment. Turkey is sending forces to Ukraine. US is sending more military vehicles. And many other countries that favor Ukraine are also assisting them militarily. But sadly, Canada's militaryless, and they can't help but only watch what unfolds in Eastern Europe. But Trudeau is such a progressive champ who gives zero concern for the lives of Canadian armed forces and goes on doing things just to impress the U.S.-led military bloc, just to be in the good books of NATO. The Prime Minister is playing with the lives of Canadian soldiers by pushing them into turbulent ground of Ukraine, while the liberal champ goes on enjoying a good week in Costa Rica. This is all unacceptable if you know what's really happening. Justin continues to use his abusive powers for his self-proclaimed force to put Canadians' lives at risk repeatedly. This injustice, without any concern for democracy in Canada, is not how our country was founded, built, and maintained on. This needs to stop. Remember, you're the voice, and now's the time to make it count. Also, please feel free to like, comment, share, and don't forget to subscribe to our BitChute channel. I'm Brad Wilder. This is Wake Up Canada News. Thanks for watching.